If you were born anytime between 1994 and 2005 and didn't have a console or a decent PC growing up, then chances are you most likely grew up playing Flash games. These games were everywhere, simple, easy to digest, and capable of running anything short of a toaster. Sure, most weren't exactly masterpieces, but the accessibility meant that you could stumble upon some absolute gems. Sites like POG, Y8, KBH, and the undisputed titan of edgy internet culture, Newgrounds, opened the floodgates to thousands of titles, letting amateur developers live their dreams of making games, and also traumatizing us with stick figure gore. And with how easily accessible this was, many developers could make games based on their favorite characters, TV shows, and movies. This was where the era of fan games truly began to take off. You had stuff like Bleach vs. Naruto, Sonic Flash, Super Mario Crossover, and the shining jewel we're diving into today, Super Smash Bros. 2. Wait a minute though, didn't this game also have a prequel? You see, to truly understand what made SSF2 as good as it was, we need to go back to the source. The OG Super Smash Flash. Enter Gregory McLeod, a man who started small. Literally though, like his introduction to programming was in middle school in 2002 when a friend showed him a game made on a graphing calculator. Yes, you heard that right, this man's gaming empire was born because he saw a pixelated snake wiggling across a calculator screen. Inspired, Gregory himself eventually started experimenting with programming, which led to the creation of several games, and even made him learn other coding languages. Eventually, he started using Flash, and made several animations by himself.
No knives in school.
Never had the makings of a varsity athlete.
Eventually, he created a website called McLeod Gaming and finally decided to make his very own fan game based on Sonic. But after working on the game for a while, he eventually noticed the similarities between his game and Super Smash Bros. And it was then where he decided to rework it into a fighter. And after 4 months of blood, sweat, and relentless bug squashing later, Super Smash Flash was born. A buggy, choppy, and overall clearly incomplete project with a Sonic OC. But for a Flash game in 2006, it was miles ahead of the competition. And while the game still was very choppy, it was clear that a lot of thought and effort went into creating it. It was packed with several different stages, a campaign, unlockable characters, and Mr. Incredible. Still, despite the mixed reception, the game was successful enough for Gregory to immediately start working on a sequel. This time with a larger development team, and holy shit, what a fucking sequel. Not only were the animations and sprites cleaner and more polished, but the gameplay didn't feel like a slippery ice rink anymore. While it was still clear that it needed to be worked on more, the sequel was an exponential improvement, even in its earlier builds. And over the years, the devs dropped updates that showed their absolute love for the project, adding everything fans have been asking for. While the game was obviously heavily inspired by Smash Bros, and by this time it pretty much was Smash Bros, it was able to garner in even more players aside from that by adding in several different characters to the roster. Not only did it feature Smash Bros staples like Mario and Link, but it also added fan-favorite characters years before they appeared in official games. Characters like Sora and Mega Man made their debut in Flash years before their first Smash Bros appearance. And on top of all of that, their moveset had to be built from the ground up. They even tossed in characters you'd never expect like Naruto, Ichigo, Lloyd from Tales of Symphonia, and yes, Goku. Every character from the original roster to the newly added ones eventually all got extremely polished movesets and final smashes. Characters like Sonic and Goku had transformations, with the latter of which getting a cinematic upgrade more down the line. And characters like Mario and Samus had screen-filling attacks that bordered on war crimes. With the very large variety of characters and stages the game provided you with, this easily blew out any other Flash game at the time, and I'd even say in history. All of the stages were incredibly designed, with them being more than just a static background. They were meticulously made with Easter eggs and mechanics that could turn the tide of a fight. Final Destination gave you a nice flat battleground, but stages like Galaxy Tour threw you into chaos with constantly shifting terrain. And in terms of the game mode selection, you have 9 in total. Group Smash, which allows you to play against CPUs of your preferred difficulty, and also against your friends, with stuff like Team Mode being built in. Special Smash, where you can speed up the gameplay and add effects to the characters. Arena, where you can play sandbag soccer or basketball. And the online mode, which actually isn't even that bad. Classic Mode, where you beat different characters in various circumstances. until you get to the boss fight, which is Master Hand, All-Star mode where you go up against every character in the roster, training mode where you can bully the CPUs, and event mode where you get graded on your performance. All the items had custom sprites and mechanics, from basic healing items to absolute chaos-inducing weapons, with the assist trophies probably being the most unique, bringing in random characters that weren't even from Smash Bros to wreak havoc. Combine all these things with gameplay that's both difficult to master but easy to understand, and you have a fighting game that you can play for hours on end without getting bored. With all these different game modes and challenges, it's no wonder how my kid brain was so easily entertained at the time. Even now I find all this stuff incredible, and it makes sense how they were able to cultivate such a loyal and supportive community. This is a fighting game made by teenagers that weren't even making minimum wage, but it was still able to rival professional titles in creativity and heart. And even to this day, it's loved by many people around the world, with it having a competitive community and people still making mods for it. I'll always remember coming home from school and heading over to my friend's house, where the three of us would huddle over a single keyboard, sharing WASD and arrow keys, yelling at each other and pulling off janky combos. Those moments weren't just fun, they were magical. For kids without proper consoles or gaming PCs, Super Smash Bros. 2 wasn't just a game. It was a godsend, and it brought people together, turning ordinary afternoons into hours of experimentation, random team battles, and unforgettable moments. SSF2 was a testament to what could be achieved when developers pour their passion into a project regardless of limitations. Gregory McLeod and his team might have not been making minimum wage when they were working on this game, but they were definitely making history. This game was the first step for so many of the people working on it to go into professional game development, and I'm truly grateful that they took that gamble to give us such a masterpiece.